right? And actually forced at gunpoint to give semen samples in little plastic jars.
You got nothing, kiddo. Snake eyes. The house wins.
What I'm afraid of. What I fear night and day is that our children, your children and my children.
I have 2 little ones. Very little. But not too little to be addicted. How?
Thank you for the questions coming in. Who threw him under the bus, the king or the Rothschilds?
Neither. His own words that came out in the files threw him under the bus.
And that crazy photo of him on all fours.
Oh, his eyes glow like a rat. Of course, he's hovering over her because he doesn't hug. So he just, he's just there, not touching her, providing some shade,
From that to that.
What a shot, dude. What do you think he's thinking? Caption this type of thing.
Yeah.
Now, is that in the back of the squad car or him being pulled over in his own?
So that's when he got out of jail and gets into his own car and his drivers are about to drive away. That's what he looked like. So put a caption in the chat, folks, as to what
it looks like he saw a ghost.
What's going through his head at this point? Put some captions in the chat. To be initiated to distract the public as well, away from all this.
It's not to distract, it's to invade Iran because that's what Israel wants. That was happening irregardless. People are like, oh, they're holding the files to make him do that. No, he was going to do that anyway. He had already been sent the carriers over and the refuelers. The USS Lincoln is not enough. Hezbollah has rebuilt and they focused on drones because they did so well in the first 12-day war, more than they thought. They didn't think they would be that successful, but they were. And so those are cheap. So they're making them. They focused on that. I'm not going to give away what they, just tell them, just trust me. Hezbollah is back. And so I don't think they'll pull the trigger on Iran until they move either the Bush or the Ford over to the Mediterranean to deal with Lebanon, because this whole war is about Israel. This whole thing is about dismantling Iran's ballistic missiles that can reach Israel. It has nothing to do with nuclear enrichment, has nothing to do with protesters. It has to do with Israel's regional ambition of land annexation and ethnic cleansing, which they can't. They flatten Gaza. They want more. They want greater Israel. They want southern Lebanon. They want a piece of all their neighbors. And today, Iran and Egypt normalized relations, and like Iran's making some good moves. They cannot defeat the U.S. in a protracted war, but I don't think they'll have to, because I don't think the American public will put up with a protracted war. So whatever they're going to do, they've got about 10 to 14 days to do it and get it done. And if Iran can just survive it for that long, which I believe they can, then they win. Israel, on the other hand, cannot sustain 2 weeks of ballistic missiles and drones. And last time, Lebanon barely lifted a finger. And so this time you'll have the Houthi out of Yemen, you'll have Hezbollah, and you'll have Iran. And the United States, for all its offensive power, these ballistic missile defense shields don't work. And that is something we discovered with the last round of fighting, which is why it was called off. And so that's why Israel wants what they call a knockout blow on Iran. And the U.S. cannot deliver that knockout blow. And it's not because of S-400s or defense systems. It's because of the best defense ever made, called mountains. You can't bunker buster through mountains. And that's where this stuff is. And and guess what? Israel doesn't have those. So their stuff's on the surface and it's vulnerable. Winter Iran, geography for the W, whatever. But they have them, and the best defense is a good offense. People are talking all this shite about how they're going to sink the carrier, hypersonic missile. That thing could sit still, and they still couldn't sink it. You're talking about a floating airport. And I hate the Lincoln. I hate the name of it. I wish the torpedo would be called John Wilkes Booth. There are hypersonic missiles that like that China has, for example, that could sink a carrier, or you could nuke it. But Iran doesn't have any of that stuff. But what they can do is destroy all the support forces and harass the deck enough to where it runs out of ammo or runs out of fuel or runs out of food. Any three of those, if you can disconnect one of those things, then it has to return to port. So, but as far as sinking it, yeah, good luck. You'd be much better off concentrating your firepower on stagnant targets like U.S. bases and getting rid of those refuelers and just bomb Israel until it looks like Gaza. Like, if you want the U.S. to tap out, do like Khabib said to Connor, I'm going to smash your boy. Like, that's how you get him to quit. Go straight for Israel's neck. Because the U.S. does whatever Israel demands.
So do you think this is imminent then, all this?
I don't think they'll move in until they get another carrier in place.
Okay.
Never know. I mean, Hegseth is dumb enough, but the decision makers, you're looking at March, most likely. I don't see them. I have people on the Fifth Fleet that telegram me, and they'll tell me, like, if they're headed toward the Mediterranean or to the Strait of Hormuz, I'm going to know. They can't make this move without the whole world seeing it. Like, you can't just zip up a carrier. So if the George Bush leaves Virginia or the Ford leaves, the Lincoln's already sitting out there. It's got like another month it can loiter around. If these other carriers start to come and they park one off Lebanon or they put another one in the Strait of Hormuz, that's when the war will start. To start the war without the carriers makes no sense. I mean, you have 11 of them. You can use 6 on Iraq. They used 6 carriers in the Iraq war, which is much smaller than Iran, and it just had a war with them. Yeah, they were already kind of defanged. Just having the Lincoln out there and starting a war with Iran, like maybe he thought, oh, we'll just do a limited strike. But then Iran responded and said, if you attack us at all, we're considering that total war and we're retaliating on Israel. So they're going to have to move their ships in place. And the U.S. isn't going to attack Iran until that has been done. I think they're going to attack Iran, but they're going to send at least 1, probably 2 more fleets, the strike forces. And that's another 70 to 90 planes apiece. And those ships are fortresses. I mean, that's the size. I mean, you're talking about 3.5 football fields. And I mean, like American football, like 100 yards each. You're talking about like 350 yards of boat, 250 feet high, as tall as a lighthouse. These are monsters. And you look at the firepower, even Russia, which has very advanced weapons. Could they blow up bridges going across the Dnieper? No. You can put some holes in them. You can't just kaboom. Not without a nuke. You can't do that. Do you think you could blow up an airport? You could put a dent in the runway. Do you think it could just blow up? No. Well, it's a floating airport. That's what a carrier is. It takes extreme firepower. You can't just hit it in the right spot with a torpedo like the movies. They're segmented so only that part would fill up with water. You can't do that. So I think, like, we're going to kick it with a hypersonic missile. Like, go ahead, hit it with a hypersonic missile. Okay, it'll still be there.